Welcome to this week's podcast episode. I have here with me Ocean Lover. We're going to be talking about a few things. Ocean, could you mute the other window?
Is that better?
Yeah.
Great.
So let's see. I just got to put a few things up on the screen.
Okay.
Oops. So, first, guys, if you want to be able to interact with us while we are live, please do subscribe to this channel so that you can go ahead and comment. Another thing is that we invite you to consider joining the Soul Sanctuary.love. That's our private ministry area. And if you are inside the United States, any tier of contribution, because that's a recurring contribution, it's not a membership, any tier of recurring contribution is tax deductible. We do have quite a few different things that we have going on. And if you want to know about it, just go to our website, soulworksynergistics.com, and you can find a whole bunch of information on our projects and all sorts of different things about our board, our team, everything. So let's go ahead and get started. Girl, this topic right here.
Yes. Yes. This is a really, really big, huge biggie.
It is. It is. Because we have a portal date coming up.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Can you please break that down? Because there may be some people out there who have heard that, but really don't know what that means. What exactly is a portal date?
So every month, there is an alignment that takes place, and it typically lands on the same day every month, right? So on January, it's going to be January 1st. In February, the second month, it's going to be on February 2nd. And there's another one, February 22nd.
Okay.
After that, it's March, which is the third month. It's going to be on the third day. The fourth month, it's on the fourth day. The fifth month, it's on the fifth day, and so on through the whole year. So we have 1/1, 1/11, 2/2, 2/22,
Mhm.
3/3, 4/4, all the way through.
Okay.
And what ends up happening is these portals are like galactic alignments. They're galactic alignments that begin to dilate open uh, certain pathways that allow for frequency to permeate in through all of these shields that's on our planetary grid, and then we can pull it in from the planetary grid.
Wow.
That's usually what happens, right?
Yeah.
Over the past maybe 2 years or so, what's been happening as our crown chakra and our third eye chakra has begun to activate for most people, and this is regardless of your beliefs, okay? Regardless of your spiritual practice, for most people, this process has begun. It began quite some time ago. And because of that, what's been happening quite a bit more is that we're receiving it during lunar events, solar events. We have all of these solar storms, geomagnetic storms, things like that. And it's been coming in through that. It's been coming in through other celestial events. So not only are we pulling it in from the planetary grid, we're also pulling it down from the environment, the stratosphere, the upper stratosphere.
Mm.
So, I mean, there's a lot of information that comes through for portals, a lot of information that we can go over for Ascension. And I think what's important is for many of us to realize um, your Ascension mechanics is absolutely affected by the opening and closing of portals.
Mm. And speaking of portals, the next one coming up is 9/9, right?
Yes.
September 9th.
So
Wow.
it's not that far away. It's
It's
only a
not.
few days away.
Yeah.
I will be doing a fire ceremony on 9/9. Um, People who've known me for a long time, they know I'm not really into portal dates and things like that. But if you've noticed, for those who have been with me for some time, over the past maybe year, year and a half, I've been much more active with the portal dates. That should tell you something,
Mm.
right? So what ends up happening, a lot of people who are very new into their spiritual journey, um, they hear about portal dates, they hear about mass activations, they hear about um, group meditations, global meditations, things like that. And those all sound really beautiful. Sound. really beautiful, but there's a lot of commingling of energies.
Ah, break that down for me. What exactly is the commingling of energies, and what are the potential implications? What are the implications of those things?
So when you are doing a group event with me, um, I don't like people's energies to mix. What's yours should remain within your field, and nothing should be allowed to enter into your field without your informed consent. That's huge to me. Informed consent, not you just agreeing just because I asked you to agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, what ends up happening during these events, most of the people who are in charge of these events, coordinating these events, they're not thinking in terms of parasitic nature, right? So I would liken attending those types of energetic events, even just online, as like attending an orgy. Yeah,
I don't have my water this morning, so I
you didn't see that coming, did you?
didn't see it coming.
My bad. Yeah.
Very sobering illustration, to say
Yes,
the least.
and that's the thing is that, that's like the perfect analogy because it's such an intimate act to share your energy with someone.
Mhm.
And then secondly, we have STDs, not just sexually transmitted diseases. We're
Yes.
talking about spiritually transmitted disharmony as well.
Hmm.
She's like,
Like, mm-mm, we don't like that. You know what I thought about too, as you said that this morning, I saw this ad for a bouncy house, and I could just think of people with all their stuff gathering in one place, just bouncing and having all this fun. Everybody just germs, just having a ball together. Oh,
mm-hmm.
have to just like, what's up this time? So
Yeah.
that's kind of the visual I'm getting too as you say that. Yick, that sounds pretty nasty, right there. I don't think we want to commingle energies like that. And I
And this,
love how you mentioned informed consent. How does that tie into sovereignty?
well, with informed consent, that means you're making a decision knowing all the different potentials, knowing all of the different other factors that could affect you. Again, the spiritually transmitted disharmony, that's huge,
It is.
right? We're
Yeah.
talking about parasitic nature, we're talking about people's traumas, we're talking about people's limitations suddenly being integrated into your auric field.
Hmm.
And it becomes this thing of, are you aware what you're getting yourself into?
Yeah.
Because a king or queen, they must be made aware of all those factors
Hmm.
before they will ever consent. A true king or queen, they will not just be like, sure, it sounds good. They'll be like asking all of these different questions. They will speak to their advisors. And that's kind of the perfect analogy as well, because that's kind of what you have to do. You have to speak to your previous trauma advisor. You know what
Hmm.
that is? Your old traumas. Okay, are they getting triggered? What's going on? Previous trauma advisors, please let me know,
Right.
because this is you recognizing you've lived through this type of trauma cycle before, and this is about to be the start of another one.
Ooh.
Mhm.
Hashtag a word. A word. Yes.
So
So,
most people don't know that kind of thing, though. you
yeah.
know and it's like your lack of knowledge is being exploited by people who are simply interested in expanding their reach.
Mm.
Do you know why they want to expand their reach?
Mm.
And here's the thing, whenever I think about the spiritual world, the spiritual communities, the words of KRS-One just always comes forward. Like,
Teach it.
I'm so grateful for that one morning. I was like half asleep. I was trying to wake myself up by looking at some videos, and there was this interview of him, and he always speaks so passionately, right? I mean, people have this opinion of him. They judge the book by, like, he's so educated, it's ridiculous how intelligent this man is.
Teacher.
And yeah, and he says something along the lines of, if you don't know the history of the author, then you don't understand the integrity of the work.
Yes.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so we don't know people's histories. We only know what they present publicly.
Exactly.
One of
Yes.
the things that really sets me apart, and what people have said, they know I'm not interested in creating this, public image. I'm kind of just like, listen, I don't even want to be public. If we're gonna be honest, I would prefer to not be known whatsoever and just be able to do the work. But this is actually a part of my work,
Yes.
allowing people to see me in my process of
Mhm.
further developing and blossoming my most authentic truth, right?
Absolutely.
But that can be manufactured by other people.
Yes. It
They
often
can
is.
watch people who are authentic
Mhm.
and copy it. That's what
Mm.
organic portals do.
I was just thinking about OPs.
Mhm.
Yes.
Do you want to share with them what an organic portal is?
Oh my goodness, you just put me on the spot. In my own words, an organic portal is an empty vessel, basically. Um, they are very good at mimicry. Like they are very good. They can mimic authenticity, but there's this emptiness. Like you might not even be, even if you are very sensitive energetically, you might not feel it at first. You might not know that this is an organic portal, but they can mimic all types of things. They can, a lot of times, they even can sense and get certain information about you, but they are empty vessels. And Amy, anything else you want to say about that?
I mean, everything you said, with a little bit of addition, where when you talk about empty vessels, these are real people.
Hmm.
Okay, they're not robots. They're not AI. They
Hmm.
are real people who have the type of spiritual essence that lacks the capacity to reach higher levels of dimensional consciousness.
Hmm.
And because of that limitation, that's why they go ahead and do a lot of the mimicry. If you think someone sounds spiritual, there's no way, I promise you. There is absolutely a way. If you think like, oh, they wouldn't be able to trick Emmy. You already know. Ocean. And I was just like, girl, I got bamboozled. I got so bamboozled, and I did it all myself too.
Right, because you get those little like those little intuitive nudges, like, wait a minute, you may be like, okay, no, this person seems good. Meanwhile, your intuition like, so yeah, but we live and we learn, right?
Yeah.
Because they can be really good, and that doesn't make you a foolish person. That doesn't make you a person who's just not aware. That makes you a person who's living and learning. So
Yeah.
how does all of this turn to, tie into Ascension and this portal that's coming up?
Well, let's touch in on the organic portals first and foremost. Organic portals can absolutely trigger a trauma induced accretion.
Mm,
And a
mm.
lot of people, I'm going to write this down because I have an accent. And a lot of people think I'm saying something else. Has nothing to do with secretions.
But I can
Um,
see that at the end, induced secretion. If I can
yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
That's not you. That's
It's a trauma induced accretion. And that's the pulling in of frequency at a very high rate, very high velocity. And this can give you the opportunity to go ahead and reach higher levels of dimensional consciousness. It can bump you up in your ascension mechanics. So that's part of what organic portals can do. Now, when we get into, the subject of portal dates, I mean, it's basically like that as well, because if you look, as you begin to approach these portal dates, um, gosh, everyone's ascension mechanics goes bonkers. Have you guys been having these weird headaches? Nothing too serious, but just weird pressure, weird sensations at the top of your head, your face, the back of your head. Have you been having weird changes in your sleep? Nothing severe, but maybe you just can't sleep for the past couple of nights. You can't sleep till super late. You haven't changed your diet, you haven't taken any stimulants or anything like that, and your brain won't stop. Or the opposite. Have you been sleeping nonstop? Like, what is wrong with me? I
mm,
keep sleeping. I'm always tired no matter how much I nap. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my. You're eating. Have you suddenly lost your appetite and you find yourself forcing yourself to eat?
mm,
First and foremost, listen to your body. listen to your doctor. You don't have to force yourself to eat if you don't feel hungry. If you're not um, feeling dizzy, lightheaded, symptoms of hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, then I don't see why you would force yourself to eat, right? That 3 meals per day rule, that's hogwash. That's hogwash. That's to keep you fed enough to be able to sustain uh, 9 to 10 hours worth of work. That's what that is. Okay. It has nothing to do with your body's needs or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. So we have that. We have you suddenly wanted to eat specific foods. You're craving certain types of foods, and you're like, "What's going on with me? I can't stop eating." Like, say, watermelon, right? One of these periods, um, I was totally going through a massive Ascension recodement, and it lasted for like a year and a half. That's how massive it was. And I was literally eating a full size watermelon by myself in one sitting every day, sometimes multiple in a day.
Rewind. I love watermelon. Watermelon and mango. Oh my gosh. One sitting?
In one sitting.
Yes, one sitting. Woo.
I
That
don't know how I could fit all that in my belly, to be honest,
it
but
was so beautiful though. It always is. But wow, during that time, how was your skin?
my skin was gorgeous, girl. It was gorgeous. I was just saying, it was so gorgeous. I was
Indeed.
glowing like a mofo. But here's
Yeah.
the thing. So you say watermelon and mango; those are some of my favorite as well. Watermelon is extremely high. It's very rich in glutathione, which is
Mm,
one of the most powerful antioxidants you can possibly consume.
mm,
Right? Glutathione does so much for you, free radicals and all of that. It addresses all of that. And then mango, I believe, if don't quote me on this because my memory is faulty, but I do believe there's literature that shows mango is actually higher in vitamin C content than oranges.
mm.
And it doesn't cause the inflammatory and the mucus production that oranges do, citrus fruits do.
Wow.
So I'm wondering, are you cleaning up your cellular material for your ascension mechanics as well? Um,
I've been
lately,
cleaning up my whole life if that's the case because I've always loved watermelon and mango.
yeah, no, for energy that's similar to yours and mine, we suffer from free radical injury, damage, all
Mm,
of that, much more severely than the average person.
wow.
That's our main thing is that our energy can cause cellular damage.
Mm,
That's why we don't get to tap into that until far later into life.
okay.
That depth of energy is what I
Mm,
am talking about.
it makes sense.
But yeah, there's a lot of things. Whenever you crave things, you
Mhm,
absolutely have to listen to your body. That's
mhm.
you trying to replenish a nutrient, a trace mineral, something you're deficient in.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very, very important. You'll see that during Ascension Portal experiences.
Mhm.
You'll also begin to crave a lot of like the comfort food, salty, fried,
Mhm.
those type of things. Cortisol levels are rising. That's what it is. The cortisol levels are rising.
Wow.
And that's your body trying so hard to continue to ground your energy and your soul. When you
Mm,
eat those type of comfort foods, it crashes your frequency.
mm,
And when they're like you and I are naturally extremely high frequency, uh, to crash our frequency helps us to ground. But we can't
mm.
stay there too long
Yeah.
because it'll cause an inflammatory response. And then we'll start to develop dis-ease, which then
Yeah.
becomes disease pathology,
Yes.
right?
Mm, absolutely.
Um, yeah, if you're craving sugary foods, there's a high likelihood that your cortisol levels are being affected. Like there's explanations for everything. Everything. So sugary foods, your cortisol levels are probably rising. When you're ingesting things that are higher in salt content, you need more water in your system because as you go through certain types of ascension mechanics, you burn up a lot of your internal fluids.
Mm,
It's part
mm,
of
yes.
the machinations, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
When you crave things that, um, or if you suddenly don't want to eat anything at all, what ends up happening is your digestive tract, it takes so much energy and coordination. And
Mm,
so sometimes what your higher self will do is pause that by not allowing you to eat. It'll affect your appetite. And as all of that is cleared out, you haven't eaten for some time, your body can then switch its attention to integrating the codes or repairing injuries. You guys
mm,
should do a lot of research into fasting, not just intermittent fasting for aesthetics, but
yes.
actual true fasting.
Yeah, I do.
Um, Years ago, I went through a massive ascension cycle. And you guys, you don't go through ascension once or twice or three times. You're going to go through it your entire life. Your
Mm,
entire life. Okay. Years ago, I went through a massive ascension cycle, and I could not eat literally for at least 14 days. I don't know if more, but I counted 14 days. I did not eat at all. I couldn't. I couldn't. And it was this thing of, yes, I lost a lot of weight because I'm not eating. And that wasn't something that I forced myself to do. I woke up one day, I couldn't eat. I wasn't hungry. And I tried very hard to force myself to eat after a few days. I couldn't. I made myself feel sick when I tried, and then it came back out. So
mm,
after that, I began to notice, because I have a lot of scar tissue in my body from different injuries.
mm,
The scar tissue, it's almost like my body metabolized it. And if you look into research from people who actually understand fasting, true fasting, not, again, for aesthetics, not intermittent fasting, um, they'll kind of explain to you that after a certain amount of days, your body will begin to cannibalize the scar tissue and um, pathogens and things like that. It will use that for energy,
mm,
and so that's what was happening for me. My knee injuries seemed non-existent.
mm.
hmm and this is someone I was told at 26 years old I needed double total knee replacements before the end of the year,
Oh,
or I would no longer be able to walk.
oh,
Right. So, 26 years old, I'm doing this fasting late 30s, late 30s. In my 40s, I was leg pressing the max. I maxed out at 505 pounds. 3 sets of, I think, either 15 or 20 reps,
whoa,
505 pounds. I'm not supposed to be able to walk anymore.
oh, whoa.
I think that's what the fasting did for me. Now, again, you guys, I did not plan for any of that. That was absolutely involuntary. That was something that just my body would not allow me, you know. Um, and everyone around me was super worried, super de duper worried, because they saw me whittling down real fast, like real fast.
Mm,
So, you just have to respect your body. And I've gone through other cycles, usually around portal dates, where, my body will not want any food again.
mm.
And I just have to respect that, because if I force myself to eat, I feel very, very sick afterwards.
Yeah, that makes
Very.
sense. And you said a lot of things that really are like, oh,
Mhm.
that makes sense even more. Okay, just this morning, I saw a text from one of my friends, and it mentioned not being able to sleep so well. Everything else seemed to be fine, but I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of Ascension Portal coming up. I didn't think of any of that. Thank you, because I'm going to say, hey, maybe this is something you might want to watch. And also, I want to say this right now. This is not a shameless plug. I have been craving that apple bread.
Oh,
Apple bread is
girl.
good. It's delicious. Oh, Emmy, let me tell you what's so funny, because I started to have somebody. So you know what? I'm not going to be on camera eating, but I started to have some right over here. I promise you. And I started to ask you, do you want to have some apple bread and some chai or some coffee or something this morning? Oh my gosh, y'all! Is it too late for me to get up and get mine?
Go,
Girl,
go,
so
girl,
good.
go.
It is so delicious. But you know what? I thought about it also because you talked about certain things we're craving, and I am genuinely craving that, right? But not only that, it's like I remember when you started talking about these different things, and it actually is helpful. for your ascension process. How is that? Then we can get back on this everything else. But I want to know how something so good is helpful to
So,
someone's ascension process.
okay, we were talking about the apple bread, right?
Yes, all the
And
breads are delicious, all of them. But right now, I'm specifically craving the apple bread. Ooh.
so with the apple bread, that has a lot of apple pectin, like a lot of apple pectin. It's full of apple in that bread.
And let me
So,
clarify. I'm sorry. Let me clarify. I don't hate to mean we don't mean just any kind of apple bread. This I'm not just talking about like somebody may be coming in late and thinking that I'm just talking about apple bread. They may grab some apple bread. No, no, honey, no fam. We're talking about SWS Emmy's own recipe, that apple bread. But go ahead.
yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize um, when I make recipes, because I do make recipes, I tend to not share them. But when I do make recipes, what ends up happening is I'm creating the content. The ingredients are based on the energetic need.
Mm,
So I'm thinking about nourishment on a cellular level, on an etheric level. Okay.
mhm,
A lot of people don't realize this. So, apple pectin, that was one of the things I was like, we're going to need apple pectin. This is huge.
mhm,
So, it promotes gut health, it aids in weight loss, it controls blood sugar, it aids in heart health. Um, it enhances iron absorption. It helps to improve so much. It helps to reduce high cholesterol. It soothes digestive troubles. It also helps to kind of clear you out.
mhm,
You pair that with some of the other ingredients that are in there. Flaxseed, we have
mhm,
cassava, which is very grounding, very nourishing. Like a
mhm.
small round piece of bread like this, that could last you the whole day.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm talking about energy needs.
Energetically, because I'm
Yeah.
like, but energetically it makes sense, but like,
Wise?
2 seconds. Now, like seriously, fam, I want your honest opinion, okay? I have never, ever, ever before gotten up during any podcast episode.
Girl, I'm gonna take you off the screen. I'm gonna take you off the screen. Go get what you need to get. Okay. She's like, okay. But that's the thing, you guys. When you're approaching ascension portal dates, a lot of the needs of your body is now being presented to you. Do you need more sleep? You know, the more sleep portion, that's usually because you're integrating codes. You're probably needing some type of cellular based repair. Um, Maybe even just really adjusting your hormone levels. There are some hormones that are super important for your health that are only produced while you sleep. So, you know, it's a lot of different reasons why we go through the things that we go through. And it's super important, super duper important that you allow yourself to take in what you need during this period. A lot of the different expedites and energy week work that I do for these types of periods, they're calibrated for the types of codes that come in during these periods. So every portal date, there's one, at least one every month, right, for the 12 months. Every portal date will be bringing in different codes. It will be coming in from different regions of the galaxies, the universe, and it will be filtered through various planetary systems, various stars. And as it does this, it then brings all of that into the planetary grid of Earth. Okay. So we're connected to a planetary grid. Hi.
Hello?
She's so happy. She's blurring the screen. It's turning
Damn.
pinks
Can
and
only imagine. Fam, listen, can you see this? Oh my gosh. Okay, this is just the individual size, but there are loaves available. You see this? Look at those.
go that way more.
This way more?
Yeah,
Ooh,
there you go.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
Mm.
Delicious. Okay, this is, I've never done this on camera before, y'all. Okay, go ahead. Talk so much.
So, Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Teresa says major intake of electrolytes now, biosalts.
Hmm.
Super important. Super important. A lot of what happens during ascension mechanics requires biosalts.
Yo, you don't know.
You guys, she's so proper. Like, I would have never guessed that she would have taken a bite.
Yeah, I'm behave myself. Mm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yes, I love it. I love it. The whole batch that I made is nearly gone. It's like 15 of those. It's nearly gone.
What? You mean I can't order any?
Well, I mean, just the batch that I made. I'll make more, but
Okay.
yeah.
Mm,
So with the biosalts, those are necessary to conduct bioelectricity. Bioelectricity is what your nervous system runs on. You know, it's very healthy for your heart function, all of that, right? There's a lot of different things that are going on right now that's really pushing a lot of frequency through. A lot of frequency through, fluctuating in different levels, right? It's not just one frequency band that's being pushed through, it's multiple.
mm.
So you can think of it in terms of a new galactic song is being allowed to play.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah. One that's so old, the earth hasn't heard it in hundreds of thousands of years.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now, I know every portal date is significant, but is there anything that's especially significant about this upcoming portal date that you know of? I mean, this,
Yeah.
this feels different even to me, you know?
So I don't know. I haven't looked online. I don't know what you guys will find online about this. This is strictly from my intuition. A lot of the codes that are coming in are basically divinity codes.
That makes sense.
So I remember when you and Lindsay were kind of pairing the different oils together to make sense,
Yeah.
and we are like, "What are we naming this?" And I was like,
Yes.
"Divinity oils."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pulling that in. It's very much piggybacking on what's happening, and this is going to continue all the way through till about February. This
Wow.
is the start of it.
Mm,
This is the very, very start of it. And
neat.
so these divinity codes, they're going to do a lot of modifications on your etheric template. Uh, and you have to have the proper work done before you pull in these divinity codes. What ends up happening if you don't, if you have blockages in certain areas, if things are not properly aligned, things, you know, the usual type of energetic circumstance that most people have existing already, there's a high likelihood of these codes being too high frequency.
Mm,
And when you pull that in, it can shatter chakras, cause chakra blowout.
mm.
If it's severe enough, it could also shatter your central chakra line. It can cause abnormalities in your joints. Mhm.
Oh,
Like sort of like symptoms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, EDS.
yeah.
The abnormalities can be like joints that are hypermobile. They become dislocated or sublocated very easily. You could experience things like that. You can experience um, neurological type things like spasms. Um, what else? Fibromyalgia type
Mm,
conditions
mm,
can very easily develop. It can absolutely affect your entire all the fascia in your body.
mm.
Fascia is where the chakras connect into the body. That's where they anchor in. I don't know if you guys will find information on this online. So I just want to make sure if you go looking for this, I don't know if you'll find it online. This is all just what I know from my body of work over however many years I've been doing this.
Mhm.
But it could have effects on that. I wouldn't be surprised if more people uh, experience psychological disturbances,
Mm,
a lot of psychosis type symptoms. I wouldn't be surprised if people receive their first either diagnosis or episode of schizophrenia. I
Mm,
don't think it's schizophrenia at all.
right.
There's going to be even more thinning of um, that already extremely thin separation between third and fourth dimension.
Mm,
We are already anchored in fifth dimensional consciousness. So we're already experiencing a lot of the fourth dimensional foolery, right? That's
mm,
astral, that, you know, parasitic stuff. We're already experiencing these things, and I absolutely expect it to ramp up even more.
mm. So I know that you always like to come from a place of empowerment. Um, what are some things that people can do to help themselves prepare? I know you talked about diet for one thing.
Mhm.
Um, how about awareness? And also, what types of services and products do you offer to assist with Ascension? Because I know that you do offer a lot of Ascension support, even though it may be called different things under different categories. But this is a point of the podcast that I feel is always very important because you have some people who are aware, you have some people who are not aware. There's like a spectrum. You have some people that are coming for the first time. You have some people that have been coming for a long time, but still really aren't aware of
Yeah.
the things that you offer to help and the things that they can do to help themselves. So run it.
So a lot of what I offer actually applies towards people's ascension mechanics. Pretty much everything I offer, even the Claire Tarot readings that can give you the clarity that you're seeking. I'm
Mm,
not invested emotionally, and therefore I can see clearly,
yes.
right? Because it's the emotions that create the distortions.
Mhm.
Um, I recommend that you go to my website, and this is for anyone who's like, what should I have done? Go to my website, look at all the different services, see what calls to you, because your soul is guiding you.
Mm,
You know, your soul is definitely guiding you. So if you go ahead and just select what your soul is picking for you to begin with, it has a tendency to work out much better than people realize. I've
yeah.
had plenty of clients where they'll group certain sessions together, and my husband would be like, should I do that? That's like, I don't know if I should do that. I'm like, just, they are being guided. Just do what they request, right? And then we get to the session time and I'm assessing and I'm like, whoo, perfect.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's perfect. This is exactly what you needed. There's nothing I could have done differently that would have been better than this.
Wow.
And it took, because, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm booked pretty far out in advance,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of sessions. And a lot of people, from the time they book the session to the day of their appointment, it's maybe like a month or two, sometimes more. And what ends up happening is, in that time between the booking and then the actual session date, these other things will happen, which then makes what they selected on their own the perfect thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's so beautifully guided.
Wow.
It's like, it sometimes it gives me the chills, like, "Oh my gosh, when did you experience these symptoms?" And they're like, "Well, it just started 2 days ago." I'm like, "This is what you needed. How did you know?" And they're like, "I don't know. It was weird. I just kind of felt like I needed to do this." I'm like, "Yeah, you did. You definitely did." Many of us, our souls talk to us. Our
Yeah.
souls talk to us, and they let us know exactly what we need. But it's hard for us to believe that we're being actually guided, right?
Yeah.
So I would recommend you just kind of, stepping into that place of sovereignty, right? And kind of just trusting yourself and knowing that you are picking what you need, that you know what you need, whether you know the words that are used or not, you
Mhm.
know what you need.
Yes. Yes.
Another amazing thing to do is to get plenty of rest. That's so hard.
Mhm.
The reason the world is structured the way it is, part of the reason, is to keep us incessantly exhausted. When you're exhausted, you can't think straight.
Mhm.
You just can't. You can't. Some things are just going to have to wait. Washing the dishes, that's probably going to have to wait.
Mhm.
Laundry, do you still have some clean clothes? Maybe they're not your favorite. You still have clean clothes? Yeah. The laundry can wait. Take a nap. Do something. You
Yes.
know, do something about your exhaustedness,
Yeah. I like
right?
that. I love what
Um,
you saying. It makes sense. It seems so simple, but those things go such a long way. And you were talking about how we basically know, even if we don't know that we know. And I have actually witnessed somebody doing that. I didn't want to impose because I was trying to just respect the sovereignty and everything. But the service that the person selected seemed perfect for what, the person needed. But I think sometimes that self doubt, like, no, I don't really know enough about this, can kind of kick in. But it was really perfect. It was really perfect. And also, there's a flip side to that because somebody may book something, and by the time you actually meet with them, you may see, okay, this is, you selected this, but your higher self is saying this too, or in addition, or sometimes people have gotten an expedite. And I think that you all have witnessed that out there too. It's like, this is what your higher self is also saying in addition to, so I just think it's wonderful. And I think your alphabet is wonderful too. I don't want to be rude.
um, sometimes what people have to understand is part of the reason they begin to doubt the guidance their soul is giving them regarding some of the different services that they're drawn to. It's not their doubt, that's thought inception by parasites.
Right.
Yeah. So there's so many different things, so many different things people go through, and there's various reasons why you experience what you experience.
Mm,
Uh, Developing your discernment and your sense of self, those are so powerful, and they go such a long way.
mm.
Such a long way when it comes to really supporting yourself through your ascension mechanics, dealing with ascension symptoms as we approach portal dates. Other things that people can definitely benefit from. I teach classes every week.
Yes.
Being in a community setting like that, I mean, you go to the classes too, and it's like,
Mhm.
whew, it's beautiful.
It
So
is.
beautiful. Everyone's so supportive.
They are. Everyone is so supportive. I go to the classes, and in addition to that, I'm also still able to attend K33 CP classes because once you certify, it's like an opportunity for continuing education. You don't have to pay anything extra. You can
Mm,
go through all the cycles that come behind it, and
yeah.
you're constantly being updated. You're like on the cutting edge of energetic technology, energetic education. And so as K33 CP certified students, like, we really get to benefit so much, and we learn so much. It's like you don't just learn and you're finished. Like, you, like a nurse, right? You
Mhm.
take those continuing education. I'm not comparing us to nurses or anything like that, but it's about continuing education, and you learn so much. You stay sharp on what you know, and you enhance yourself because things are evolving. Things aren't just staying the same on a lot of levels. But the K33 CP is great. Is it still 50% off right now? You still have that?
It might be until tonight. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure, but I think it is until tonight, and that includes payment plans as well. It'll lock in a 50% off price for the payment plan.
Awesome.
And yeah, that's the thing. You have to be in an environment that doesn't just support your growth, but also encourages you to continue to develop as your environment develops,
Mm-hmm.
right? A lot of the classes that people will take that are spiritual in nature, it's kind of like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. This, it's done, and that's it. When it comes to my certification program, that is not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. No, as you evolve, parasites evolve, and I am teaching you these things. Your energy is going to be brighter than anything in your environment, unless in your environment is another K33 certified individual. You're going to be the brightest thing in your environment. And what ends up happening is you will draw to you a lot of the dark things, right? And that's why anyone who's taken my K33 certification program, there is a major, massive emphasis of mine on your self defense, on defense of your client, and all of that. And I made it a point after the first certification cycle. Um, if you successfully certify, you will be allowed to join every cycle after that for that level that you're certified in. It's
Mhm.
literally completely free continuing education,
Yes.
completely free, because I want to make sure you are always safe and your client is always kept safe, whether you continue all the way through the program or not. No, you need to be very much kept safe
Yes.
as you do this work, because I know this and I know the types of things that need depth of energy.
Mhm.
Are
Absolutely.
able to reach people who are able to reach these levels of frequency during portal dates, during these ascension portals, because that's what they are at this point, ascension portals. They're not just portal dates. From 9/9 all the way through till about 3/3, they're going to be ascension portals. Okay. I'm
Mm.
not sure what's going to happen after that. I'm not being shown yet. But through these ascension portals, people who can harness frequency like this, you're going to be corded into wherever that portal is.
Mm. Mm.
And what ends up happening is you kind of serve as a holding space and a bridge. So you're directly infusing into the planetary grid in the region you live in,
Oh
all
wow.
of these very high frequencies. That's
Mm.
why we all have to be spread out the way we are.
Mm.
We
Mm.
all have to be spread out the way we are. It's because of that we're creating a network
Mm.
just by existing. That's
Wow.
what these portal dates are. It's giving back to the planet and to all of the inhabitants what was wrongfully withheld.
Mm.
This ties into the Jehovian Death seals, the Knights Templar seals, Zeta seals, all of these different seals, all of these different wounds that were created in order to phase lock the earth into a third dimensional space.
Mm.
They blocked our ascension mechanics for a very, very long time. Very, very long time. So part of our ascension history, we were spliced with Melchizedek code. That's angelic code. That's angelic code. That's why we have the capacity to reach higher levels of dimensional consciousness. We were hybridized between a terrestrial species and angelics. And depending on the concentration of the angelic code, this is what, the whole world wars stuff was about. That pure race, it's about this.
Mm.
And there's just a lot of things that happen. And in order to prevent us from reaching a level of consciousness that would help us to retrieve our sovereignty, they did a lot of planetary grid modifications.
Mm.
They installed seals and all of these different things. And what ended up happening was they didn't take into account that the fact that we have even trace amounts of angelic code gives us the birthright potential of full realization, full actualization, full
Mm.
ascension.
Mm.
So that's what we're in the process of retrieving. What was kept from us? This is our birthright.
Yeah.
This is not something you have to ask for. You don't need an intercessor. You need to become aware to the degree that you can step fully into your sovereignty and begin actively pulling this information, pulling these abilities back to you.
Mm. I want to ask you a question because I know before we did an episode where you went into depth about seals and implants, all of those things. But if you can just give a brief refresher on what seals are and also how might they affect an individual, like what are some symptoms like somebody may experience when they are affected by a seal?
Well, a lot of
Collectively
people,
and individually, I'm sorry.
yeah, a lot of people who still have certain seals in place, they struggle with certain concepts. They're very fear based. They're very much about conforming. They're afraid of the consequences if they don't conform. They have a tendency to be, a basic type of human where they feel like, life is about going to work and then coming home. And then, certain days you have vacation. Other days you have to do what you're told. You have to get these scores in school and, you have to do all of that. You have to buy the house and you have to have X amount of kids. You can't have more kids, you can't have less kids. You have to have these specific pets. Those are people who have a tendency to have the seals still intact and the pathways those seals govern still fully blocked.
Mm,
You know, uh, after a certain point, I do believe the Jehovian seals were removed off the planetary grid.
mm,
I can't remember what year that happened. Um, I can't remember what year that happened. I think it might have been like 3 years ago or so.
mm.
But I do
That's
still offer
interesting.
the Jehovian seal activation,
Mhm.
that removal activation, because that work will clear out the pathways. Just because the seal is removed does not mean the pathways were also cleared right along with it.
Mm,
So
mm,
that's one of the things that you have to also take into consideration. Oh, here's a question.
mm.
What about people who haven't removed the seals? Will they not be able to ascend? You were the first one I have ever heard of offering that service to remove the seals. Oh, yeah, no. The primary one, it blocks basically the flow of consciousness to the heart space. It's the Jehovian seals, and I believe that's been removed off pretty much everyone because it was crushed in the planetary grid.
Mm,
It was crushed. And so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. If you do have blockages in the pathways that those seals govern, then yeah, you might have a hard time. You might struggle a bit with the rising levels of awareness. It might cause you to experience quite a bit of cognitive dissonance. So that's another thing that really kicks in is the cognitive dissonance.
mm.
Um, let's see. There was Michael says there was another question. Can these ascension portals cause high heart palpitations? Energetic, but not physical.
Mm.
If you're talking about physiological heart palpitations, I'm very, very cautious about dismissing physical experiences as ascension symptoms. They probably are ascension symptoms, but you also probably need to get checked to rule out any type of heart condition, cardiovascular condition. Um, it's important, guys. We can't just say like everything is energy and put yourself at risk because you're afraid to get checked. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, is everyone going to ascend or does everyone ascend at some point? Everyone ascends at some point. Absolutely. Everyone ascends at some point. Some people will do it kicking and screaming. Other people will do it in a very compliant manner. Michael says, much like the way she does with her journey.
I thought you were gonna say, Michael says you don't have to keep trying to sneak that apple bread, Ocean.
No, he's calling me out, girl, not you.
Not this
um,
time. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that podcast. Girl.
yeah, no, he be calling me out left and right. It's
He
ridiculous.
does, bless your heart.
I'm compliant. Here. What is an expedite in your terms? I hear it all the time, but I don't know what it means. Okay. So an expedite in my terms is when you pay a very, very, very small fee for a service that instead of waiting like, I don't know, 2, 3 months for your appointment, I'll do it during a live stream. It's an expedited request. And that's when I'll do it during a live stream. The term expedite came about because once upon a time, my expedite live streams where I'm doing energy work for everyone, those were once completely for free, like completely for free. And I would have hundreds of people show up to one live stream. And it was this thing of I couldn't get to everyone. I would be live for 6, 7, maybe 8 hours. That was not uncommon for me to do, just doing all of this free energy work. And it became clear that some people had more need than others. And so it was a fee based on what type of energy work I was going to do for you to expedite your request. So, for example, a Claire Tarot reading on my website, I think is like $144. Um, when you get it during an Expedites live stream, it's only $33. It's only 33. So that's a huge difference in price. I could have like a $700 activation on my website and you'll pay $80 for it on an expedite. Is that your second one, girl?
I neither confirm nor deny.
I love it. Keep going, keep going.
No, I'm giving the fam some now. I'm like, you know what? Go right up. See, where are my manners? Y'all want some?
Oh my gosh. But yeah, and it's expedites have become something where I understand the value of it at this point. A
Mhm.
lot of people, it would take them a long time to be able to save the money for a private session, and they need something more immediate, or maybe that's the only way they can afford, work with me. And I don't want it to be this thing of, um, just because you can't afford the full price means you can't ever have any type of assistance from me. So it's kind of my way of giving back. Um, to the community. And I found, because again, I was doing it completely for free for quite a few years, actually. I think it was like 2, 3 years that I was doing it completely for free. And what I found is when people pay even just an expedited fee, because for some people that expedited fee is a lot of money. Okay, a lot of people have different needs
Mhm.
and different situations. And when they pay even that expedited fee, they have a tendency to respect that work more and they maintain it versus getting something completely for free. And it's kind of just like, oh, I don't have to maintain it. I could just always go back to Emmie for free and she can fix it. Like I
Yeah.
remember one year, years ago, I did a full on demonic extraction during a live stream, and I told the person where they got it from because it was very clear to me. It wasn't speculation at that point. I told the person where they got that parasite from, and they decided to expose themselves again. And they came back and they were like, "Oh, Emmie, I went and I went to go see so and so and this and that, and I think I got breached again. Well, I'm not fixing that now.
Wow.
No,
And for free?
for free. Yeah,
Y'all know how much a parasitic extraction is? Wow.
I was doing all this work for free for years. I
Wow.
was doing all this work completely for free. And people didn't understand the value until I began to show them the value by affixing reasonable prices.
Yeah.
Yes, they are still large amounts, but they are reasonable for the quality of the work that I provide.
Yes, absolutely. And, and I know that anyone who has benefited from your work, who has experienced the benefits of your work, you're not exaggerating whatsoever. Yeah, it's really real. Um, did we have another question, Emmy, about any of these things? Uh-oh,
Um,
I want some apple bread. I got you, Luna. I got you.
no, I don't think so. Do you guys have any questions that you want to ask? I just realized we never even.
You're so disruptive today. It's the apple bread. It's the apple bread. Oh my gosh, guys! I'm I, I'm not even gonna blame myself for being so unprofessional today. That apple bread is so delicious. Oh my goodness, y'all better be glad I'm still trying to have a little bit of brought up see about myself because I just want to just eat this apple bread and drink my water. I do.
I love this version of you. I'm gonna feed you more. I'm gonna.
You see it. They don't see it on camera, but okay. So if I keep eating this apple bread, it's not gonna. You're gonna be like, you know what? I thought I loved this version of you on camera, but yeah, you're just full on disruptive right now.
It's good though. It's good. I love seeing you excited about this.
Oh gosh,
Look.
delicious. And be sincere, y'all. I'm not a fake person. Like if I don't like something like that, you will never see me trying to promote anything that I really don't believe in or like. I love this apple bread. I don't know what my energy is doing right now, but this apple bread is real good stuff.
Lindsay, I answered that one. I answered Gaze's question. Oops.
Oh, I
Sorry.
love y'all. I love y'all.
I I think a lot of what happens when people go through these ascension symptoms, um, they get confused as to what they're experiencing, and then they become afraid. They become very afraid because for many of you, you've become aware of the concept of parasites. That work that I started has spread to other people, and so other people are talking about parasites. But here's the thing: if parasites were so much more powerful than you, how come all they can do is feed on you? They can't create anything beyond this need for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They can't. They can't create new things.
Mm-hmm.
Even when a parasite, interferes with someone's journey, they can't create new characteristics. It has to be something that's already there. They're just um, they're just triggering more of it, right? Triggering that characteristic to come up, triggering your fears, triggering this and triggering that. So don't be afraid. Okay? Don't let your fear cripple you. You can feel that fear for a moment and then remind yourself, you know what? Emmy said, if you can't find it in yourself to believe that you're powerful, tell yourself literally, Emmy said that I am powerful and that I can get through this. Because when was the last time I lied to you? When was the last time I said something nice just to say something nice, but it was a lie?
Mm-mm.
Because
I
I've
think that's
encountered
one reason we get along so well because neither of us do that. Neither of us do that. I respect that so much.
Yeah. I love when I get into my headspace and you're like, ooh, ooh, child. I was like, oh no. I activated the mama bear.
Indeed.
No. And it's important to have people like that in your life though, who can hold a space of not just truth, but truth that's fearless in its compassion.
Indeed. Indeed.
Right?
Beautiful. Invaluable. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
So, what do you want to ask about Ascension portal dates? Do you have anything? Do you guys have anything you want to ask?
That's a very good question. I would like to know, when did you first become aware of Ascension portal dates and the importance? And I will tell you first. Even when I used to watch your channel, I would see that, but I wouldn't pay attention, right? Because I didn't think it really applied to me. Even like Blu-ray stuff, I would see it, but I would just really look at the Pisces reading. But goodness,
Mhm.
once we
Mhm.
know it's a beautiful thing. I think that's one reason I really appreciate this podcast so much. Even way before I came on it, it really helps to educate people on so much. So when it
So, okay, you're going to be surprised.
wow, okay.
I used to have this work person, an associate that was totally into galactic things and, portal this, portal that. I'm like, oh, here comes this heifer with her alien stuff again. Jesus, Mary, Joseph, alien stuff again. And, lo and behold, it was just a form of my own avoidance
Indeed.
because I've had many, many lives that were galactic and that still I carry those wounds with me. And
Mm,
that's why I avoid it. And
mm.
so it's really within the past, I want to say since 2019ish.
Wow.
It hasn't been long. I've been aware of portal dates. I've been aware of their effects, but I'm just like, it's for the weak people. Like remember when I wore my Moldavite ring for the first time? Remember
Oh,
what happened? And then I had the full on meltdown. And then
oh,
I was like, I'm a weak
oh.
bitch. You're right. And I realized a lot of what was happening was a deconstruction of my avoidance. My
Mm,
compartmentalization was being deconstructed. And so I was tapping into all these things. And it's not weakness,
no.
it's a rise in my awareness. I couldn't just dismiss it anymore.
Yes.
And a lot of that had to happen because, again, um, hoping that this doesn't sound like it's coming from ego, my energy is a very dominant energy.
Mhm.
Whatever space I enter in, it's like my energy is just like, this is mine. Even
Yes.
though I'm not like that in real life, that's just what my energy
Energy.
does.
Mhm.
And so what ends up happening is if I allow myself to be introduced into that mix of portal energy cluster fluffery,
Mhm.
I then dominate that space.
Mm,
And then I can kind of shield because a lot of the energy will first filter through me
mhm,
before it goes to everyone else that's participating.
mm,
So now I'm actively filtering out all of the covert coding that was kind of pressure injected behind the light code
Mm.
so it doesn't enter into you guys. So
Wow.
it's basically just a way for me to serve as the umbrella filter that I was designed to be. You
Mm.
know, that's all it is. That's why I mean I don't feel like when I say things, oh, I'm powerful, it's not me saying I'm better. It's like, Mofa, I'm better at this job, so
Mhm.
don't try. You know,
Mhm.
you're not going to dethrone me from my job. This is a
Right.
job I do. I've been doing it for my whole life.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of just like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's how I got shoved into portal date stuff.
Um,
I was pushed into it. It
neat.
wasn't something I was like, oh, profits. We can make profits.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, definitely. I mean, because and I know that this subject has come up on your channel before, different things you do, but that's not your primary focus. We need money to survive in a capital oriented society world, right? But that's not like what you're just driven by. And that's not what drives you to help people. Speaking of helping people, we're going to get back to this Ascension portal because I think some of us still look at soul work synergistics like little links and everything, but I don't know how many people know that this is a nonprofit organization that was founded by you to
Yes.
help create a better, more equitable world. We can get back on that later, but I just want to know um, also what is Soul Work Synergistics? Do they do anything for ascension, support, anything like that? Do you keep all of that separate from the nonprofit work? How does that work?
So Soulwork Synergistics is completely self-contained and completely separate from Emmy Evolving.
Mhm.
If you guys are not aware, it processes on completely separate payment processors, has a completely separate EIN. Like it's a completely separate entity that I simply sit as the president of. I don't own it. You can't own a nonprofit. You can't own a church, but I am a founding member. And so I will forever be on the board. I can't be removed from the board. And I did it that way simply to always ensure that the integrity of it
Mhm.
remains intact. Right now, everyone on the board is full of integrity, very much a mirror of myself and my heart. We don't know where the future takes us, and I
Mhm.
want to always be able to be like, nope, you're out of control, new people.
Mhm.
Like, nope, we are not for profit here.
Mhm. Mhm.
We have to refocus everything. So a lot of the focus for Soulwork Synergistic is raising enough funds in order to fund all of the free programs that we're doing, the free work that we're doing, the advocacy work, all of the things for homeless people in various communities, even people who are in extreme, very urgent need online, just so many different things, so many different things. Emmy Evolving is my personal for profit company. I have been running it like a nonprofit, meaning any profit that I make goes right back to my community. But I need to put that focus strictly in Soulwork Synergistics because really what happened was I was making tax counted dollars. Everything I make, I don't accept cash. And so everything I make is counted for and it's reported. And so I realized, gosh, I'm paying huge tax liabilities every year. And that is money that can go to feed more people.
Mm.
And you guys made it happen. You guys helped me to start Soulwork Synergistics, which is really my heart.
Mm. It's beautiful. I never will forget that day. Just seeing everybody just pour in, the
Right?
support just pouring in. It was so beautiful.
It
Thank
was.
you all for allowing me to witness that. That was just one of the most beautiful things I've seen humanity do. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
In the matter of an hour, you guys raised over $2,000 for me to be able to file for the 508c1A to
wow.
form the nonprofit. Within a week, we had nonprofit status. And that's written into the tax codes. So this is not some like PMA type thing. Like, no, this is a legitimate, recognized church. It's a legitimate church. It's recognized. You can look it up online. It has all of everything in place. And so it's this thing of everything is in place for that. So then that's an indication that everything is in place for humanity to receive that. And that's how we're going to be able to really push this into full fruition. I did see some really good questions up here. Um, here. Do ascension portals affect even those who aren't aware? Absolutely. You'll see people's attitudes changing, level of aggression, just all sorts of different changes. The way they see things. Some people will become more paranoid. Some people will become much more like bold, more disrespectful type behaviors. There's also some good things that happen. For people who have a lot of integrity, they feel more driven to achieve some of the things that are soul based, not just for profit, but like projects that they've been working on to really further their soul's purpose. They'll feel like that urge to do it even more. We have Lee here. Is there anything we can do to prep for these portals? Again, getting rest, making sure that you're either taking like a multivitamin or better yet, eating the actual foods because there's um, there's a lot of times where the multivitamins are not so bioavailable. If you're going to take multivitamins, make sure that you are ensuring that whatever brand you use, they're using the most bioavailable ingredients. Some of the nutrients, some of the minerals and things like that that are in these multivitamins, they're not so readily available for the body to absorb, and that's where you get the whole concept of expensive pee, right? You're just peeing it all out. And a lot of these minerals and vitamins and whatnot, they're water soluble, so your body doesn't store it. They're not fat soluble, and so you have to take it every day. You want to make sure what you take actually gets absorbed by your body. um, Another really important thing, start looking into apple cider supplementation. It has to be raw apple cider vinegar with the mother, unfiltered and raw. And that will kind of help you with some of that prebiotic, probiotic stuff. Kombuchas. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm going to make a post. I want to do a project with you guys. I'm running an affiliate program at this point, and I'm looking these different options for kombucha starter cultures.
Mm,
So, this is a really, really good way for you to begin supporting your gut health. Gut health is key to everything,
yeah.
literally everything. And so I found a starter culture that I want to try. I want us to do it as a project. I think the starter culture was only like 13 or $15. And you can make, I believe, up to 25 gallons of kombucha with that.
Wow.
Yeah, one little 16-ounce bottle is usually like almost $5.
Yeah. For real.
It's expensive,
Yeah.
but it's so good for your health. Like my health feels so different when
Yes.
I'm consistently taking in kombucha.
Yeah.
So I want to do that with you guys. I'll start to make posts for things on emmyevolving.com. And then you'll have the link for the exact item that I'm purchasing myself to do all of these projects. And I was thinking of bringing back the eating for your frequency.
Oh, that's a good one. That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you bringing that back, go ahead and let me know so I can just stop my rice, so I can start. Not
There's
stop, so I can
alternatives.
increase.
There's
Huh?
alternatives to the rice that it's kind of like rice. Obviously, nothing replaces rice, but it kind of takes the place of rice if you
No,
want to have rice.
I missed that though. I couldn't hear it. What did you say the replacement is?
I'll tell you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll tell you though.
Yeah,
So
I'm
the
excited about that though. I don't know who all participated in the Eat for Your Frequency, the wellness challenge. It was wonderful. I mean, I could feel it all over, feel a great difference.
Yeah, yeah. I'm using that same thing again to restore my health.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to reduce my cortisol levels. They're like well within normal at this point. Actually, even
Ooh.
on the lower end of normal. And I only have one hormone left that I need to make some adjustments to my diet, my nutritional supplementation to get that right back up.
Okay.
And the heck yeah, girl, the bread is gluten free. I can't have gluten.
Yeah. Man, fam. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Somebody say gluten free. You know, it's like what the vampires do. Mm.
You
Come
forgot to hiss.
on, come on. But
You
you
had
know,
to hiss.
good. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like good. Y'all, I'm feeling myself because I got a pillow today. You know, I'm short, so I feel like I feel like Hulk smash no. But seriously, that apple bread is so delicious. It is really so delicious, and it's gluten free. Like if you tell me something's gluten free, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm most likely not trying it. Most likely not trying it. But this is the most delicious bread I've ever had that's gluten free. And not just that, this is some of the most delicious bread I've had ever. And
Oh,
no, it's so true. You know, I like good food. You know, I like good food. And when you cook, you know, you kind of like, you taste all the different things in it, like, guys, I'm telling you, it's the truth. It's bussin', it's bussin',
it is bussin' bussin'.
bussin'.
So the bread is gluten free, grain free, and I also don't use potato or rice in it. So it's very like I there's no other way to put it but ascension friendly. It's high frequency friendly. This is a bread that will help to ground you in a way that doesn't crash you,
Mhm.
right? So, and then the consistency of it, it is like bread. I'm very huge on flavor, but I
Yes.
also don't like things extremely sweet.
Mhm.
Just enough sweetness, just enough savoriness. The jalapeno bread, oh my god.
Oh, I didn't even know that I liked jalapeno bread until I had your jalapeno bread. It's delicious. And guys, when I tell you that this food not only tastes good, it feels good too. Like it really feels good. Like I was telling somebody about some jewelry that I got before. It looks good, but it not only looks good, it feels good. But this is the same with this food. It tastes good and it actually feels good. Like, you know how you may eat something and you feel all heavy. You had a good time eating it, but you feel heavy, you feel dense. No, you feel energized, you feel good after you eat it, you know?
Yeah.
So that's good
It's
stuff.
this The reason it feels that way is because it grounds you in a way that doesn't crash you.
Yeah.
And because I'm not using grains,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't cause a spike in your sugar levels.
Mm-hmm.
And the other ingredients, it's very high protein because of some of the flours that I use,
Yeah.
and then it has that complexity of the carbs that are involved, and it's just like a beautiful blend, and your body feels very nourished,
Yeah.
very nourished.
It's
You
good.
know, if I can share, when one of your sons tried the jalapeno bread and the
Oh,
brownie too, right? He
yes,
stops,
yes.
he looks at him, he goes, wait, this is gluten free."
He is my child.
He and I offered it to him, and I could tell he didn't really want it, but, he didn't wanna be rude, he didn't wanna offend me, and he goes, "Sure, I'll have a small piece," and he took a small bite, and he stopped, he turned around, he faced me, he's like, "Wait, this is
Yes.
gluten-free?" I said, "Yes, all of it is gluten-free," and he's like,
Exactly. Huh? Uh-huh.
"Mhm."
And you mentioned him. Let me tell you about that child. Let me tell you about that child. Let me tell you about that child. I got up this morning. When I went to the kitchen, I noticed that there was one, one apple bread delicacy, deliciousness, pal. Only one waiting for me. I'm like,
Oh.
you know what? Me and you gonna talk after this podcast. I ain't tell him yet. But I
Oh,
understand. I understand completely. Oh, they're so delicious, guys. They feel so good. So delicious and so nutritious. What do you say? Wholesome ingredients, wholesome taste, wholesome cause. Because not only do they taste and feel good, but you're also supporting a good cause. She talked about soul work synergistics earlier. Every single dollar, every single cent goes towards Soulwork Synergistics, helping to bring these programs and services to all of you and people in the community free of charge.
yes. Literally, none of the SolarWorks Synergistics proceeds goes to me. They
Mhm.
go into a completely separate account that is strictly to fund SolarWorks Synergistics. Uh, And I do SolarWorks Synergistics, and I sit on the board as the president, but I don't get paid to do that. Like I said, this is my heart. This entire thing is just my heart. Gaze had a question. Can we purchase expedites for children? Yes,
Mm.
yes, you can. Oftentimes, if the child is, say, 12 and under, they don't even have to be present for me to do the expedites. We just, got to let them know, like, they might feel things, not bad things, but they might feel tingly, they might feel sleepy, things like that. Um, Typically, if a child is older than 12, it's best to kind of get them to join and kind of just observe and be able to be present to share their experiences if they have any questions. It has a lot more to do with me respecting their sovereignty and them realizing that their sovereignty is being respected and honored, because at that age they're kind of entering into their adulthood. It's still very young, yes it is, and granted they cannot make decisions for themselves completely by themselves yet, but it's nice to begin exercising that where they know, like, okay, I have a say in this, I don't have to be afraid. My needs are being recognized, my opinions are being heard. So that's what I recommend. But yes, I can absolutely do expedites for children. I can do expedites for like if you have a want to buy a gift as an expedite for someone, you can definitely do that. I just kind of need their permission. They don't have to be present if they don't believe in it, but if they give permission, then that's perfectly okay. Annie asks about OPs. I'm so confused about them. What are their purpose besides triggering TIA? Why did creation make something that's not inhabited by souls? So it's not the type of soul that we have. It is not just an empty vessel, because really an empty vessel cannot exist.
Sorry, Pam, for that mistake.
Um, well, I mean that's what they're called, because they're empty. They're devoid of the type of soul divinity that we have, right? So it's kind of like that. But yeah, everything has a purpose. Everything has a purpose, and the human brain is just not designed to be able to understand the full gravity of that design. So, why did creation make something that's not inhabited by souls? Creation knows why. The moment they're no longer necessary is the moment they won't be allowed to exist, right? So, and I think we're kind of approaching that point. That's why there's all this prophecy about, you know, 2/3 of the world kind of perishing. About 2/3 of the world are organic portals. So that's not a coincidence.
Makes sense.
I think it's nearing the end of the cycle where those of us who were most greatly affected by the phase locking of the planetary grid were being forced into a space of awareness. And there's no better way to do it than through trauma-induced accretions. And organic portals are perfect for that, you
Yeah,
know?
they are.
Lucy says, I have psoriasis that came suddenly after the passing of my dad. Is there anything that I could eat to help that go? I've tried all creams. I've had it 22 years and I would like to see it gone now. Psoriasis is a autoimmune condition. You have to completely change your entire diet, heal your gut, and reduce that inflammatory load. You probably have to take supplements that will help with what do you call it? Liver drainage. You have to clean your liver, you have to clean your kidneys. It's a complex thing. Lucy, you might want to look into the book Wall's Protocol. It's here, let me write it. Because this is someone who is, I believe she's like a scientist and a doctor, and she wrote a book regarding dietary concerns and autoimmune conditions. That would be a good book for you to read, and then bring that information to your doctor. Again, psoriasis that's an autoimmune condition that can be very serious, and it could have some very profound effects on multiple organs. Okay. I would not use, I wouldn't use any type of steroids, topical. It thins your skin and it suppresses everything, which then eventually it enters into your lungs, that suppressed energy and emotion, creating asthma, COPD, all sorts of different respiratory concerns. So it's going to be a lot harder to get psoriasis under control initially without topical steroids, but in the long run, it's a lot better to do it that way. I don't use topical steroids on my kids. When I was healing their gut, like their skin flared so bad, it was so bad, but I refused to use that. What you could do, um, you could go ahead and brew, like boil a cup of water and then put in like 3 bags of or 4 bags of chamomile tea, organic chamomile, and brew it like that, covered, no longer boiling, but in hot, hot water for about 5 minutes, covered. And after that 5 minutes is up, put about a tablespoon of coconut oil and a tablespoon of olive oil. Um, Avocado oil is actually better than olive oil because it actually penetrates into the skin. And so you mix that up and you get a washcloth in that, you wring it out and you use it as a wash on yourself. Don't wash it off. You could put it in a spray bottle, shake it up every time and spray it. You got to keep it in the fridge and you got to dump it out after a day. Okay. You don't want any bacteria growing in that. If your skin lesions get infections, I would probably, uh, if for myself, I would add maybe 5 drops of grapefruit seed extract into that spray bottle and use that to spray myself multiple times throughout the day. And I've used that on my kids. It's very, very effective. Very, very effective. There's also a, hold on, let me get you guys a link. Um, there is a spray that I love to use that is amazing on, it's amazing on like cuts and bruises, not bruises, cuts and rashes and things like that. Let me just get you a link really quick. Um, or you know what? Maybe I can put it on my my website. I'll make a post on the website. I don't know if I have time to find. Oh my gosh. I should have probably had this set up already. Yeah, I won't have time to find it. I forget the exact name. I'll get you that link. Yeah, no, all allopathic doctors only give steroids. Yeah. All Yeah, it's your liver. Your liver filters and now it's overwhelmed. It's autoimmune stuff. The trauma of losing your father really pushed you over the edge. You already had inflammatory conditions, and all of that together was a cluster fluff for an autoimmune condition to take hold. A lot to do with your liver, she says. For people who are on the other platform, UK doctors only give you steroids and do not take it seriously as an autoimmune disorder. I was told by a Chinese lady it was to do with my liver. She looked at my palm and my tongue. That's actually very, very potent work because all of these meridian pathways, it's probably using traditional Chinese medicine, TCM. That's more ancient than allopathic medicine, and it takes whole being wellness into consideration, not just symptomatic presentation cessation. It goes to the root causation of things. It's the best way to heal yourself. Why do you think they disregard that as medicine?
Mm-hmm.
It existed before allopathic medicine based in petrolatum ingredients came around, right? So I'm
That's
just
what I
saying.
call traditional medicine. I don't
Yeah,
call the mainstream medicine. I call that's traditional medicine to me.
yeah, yep,
And my condolences, our condolences, of course.
yeah. Um, does anyone have any other questions? Yeah, this is so truly. A lot of store-bought gluten-free products are not yummy. A lot of them are disgusting.
They are. They, child. They are.
Yeah,
But this isn't,
no. Because my recipes come from a need that I'm fulfilling for my children, right? And
Mm.
so that's why a lot of the ingredients that I use and the way it ends up tasting, it's like mommy is hugging your belly.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sweet. That's so sweet. And it really helps that you can actually cook and bake. You know? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just saying, some people have these recipes, but they can't cook. They can't bake.
No.
And so it's delicious. And not just that, because like me, I can bake, but I have not baked with really, gluten free things and everything like that. So there's a difference. Like you can't, just because you can bake doesn't necessarily mean you know what you're doing with that gluten free stuff. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Well, I'm not gonna tell you what happened, but let me just tell you. Uh, I have a story. If you ever want to hear it, I can tell you, child. But but it really helps that you know what you're doing with the proportions, all of that good stuff. It's just delicious. And you talked about the divinity oils. Yes, they're hand mixed and they're crystal infused.
Yes.
I want to know a little bit more about that before we go, because that can help with ascension symptoms too, right?
It definitely can. So, what I didn't mention is I donated all of these materials to Solarwork Synergistic. So, it's all of the stuff that I've had. I I had Ocean Lover come to my office, and she saw the years of hoarding. It's too much. It's too much. She saw the years of hoarding, crystal chips, all sorts of oils, medicinal things, like so many different things.
Mhm.
And I went ahead and I asked Ocean and I asked Lindsay, like, I want you guys to make this your creation. I will supercharge everything. We'll use all of the different materials that I already have. These are raw materials that have been with me, especially the crystal chips. Oh my God, y'all, my poor husband. He's been the one that's had to lug all of those rocks
Oh,
around for years.
sorry, OG Frey.
Yeah. So, I think, those are the things that we're pairing. And we did a lot of different testing and seeing what works with the energies, the intention of that oil.
Mhm.
And I am beyond impressed. I'm beyond impressed. I'm so glad that I wasn't part of deciding what scents go with what. Remember, I was just like, no, it has to be you guys. Because, oh my gosh, I would have never thought of pairing those oils together and paired together. It was like I could feel the energy of it through me. I
Yeah.
could totally feel it.
Yeah. And it smells good, like it really, all of them smell good. They all have their little, specific functions and everything. And there's something else I want to mention too, because when you purchase one, do you get a link for the affirmation? Because they come with their own individual affirmations or journey assistance statements. I don't know, what do you call them?
Mantras.
Mantras. Yeah, the mantras are very good. And you can wear your oil, you can read your mantra, you might even memorize it and start saying it to yourself. Wear it to work. Honey, I know how some of these work environments can be. You don't want to be all up front. We can't go in and most places you can't go in and just start saging stuff. You can't go in burning stuff, right? But you can wear your oils and they're crystal infused, right? Nobody has to see your crystals. You can just walk around smelling good, but you are in a whole different space. So
Yes.
that's good stuff.
So I've been using the divinity oils. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've been going like this a lot or
Mm.
like this. The
Mhm.
oil is on my wrist and I'm actually sniffing it.
Hey,
So
hey.
you see me go like this, I'm sniffing the oil.
That's beautiful. And Lindsay, if you're out there, do you have the okay? Look,
She
she's
did.
so on top of it. She's so on top of it. Do you
Mhm.
have the four names? And do we have enough time to talk about those names, or would that have to be on another episode? It's fine if so.
We can talk about it over in the
Exclusive. Yeah.
exclusive because
Oh,
we can go really, really in depth with it. I did want to share some of the experiences that I had because, again, I've been using the oils and I wanted to share some of the experiences we had, but I'll share it over in the exclusive chat area.
it's not too late if you all want to join us. Before I can even get the sentence out, I know Lindsay gonna have that link up for you. Feel free to join us. There's an ongoing opportunity. You can join us at the soulsanctuary.love. It will be up there soon. I already know it. I'm not even worried about it. But we call it the after party. After the party, there's the after party. So The exclusive chat is always something that's wonderful, and you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes, recurring contributors, you get a surprise, you go in there, you may have an opportunity to have a certain thing that's just for you. I'm gonna hush because then you're gonna be like,
Girl, you told
I'm gonna drink water in my business.
no, I'm totally about like, it's a secret. It's a secret. I was planning something extra amazing for today.
Wow, that's so deep. And fam, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not doing this again on air because I am so good at regulating myself. I am great at self-regulation most of the time. Self-regulation goes out the window for me with this apple bread. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's good.
I hope y'all enjoy seeing me really get so giddy with this apple bread. I'm not eating it on air anymore.
Annie says no more apple bread for you.
You a hater, Annie. You's a hater.
Ooh, that's how you know. You guys know Ocean. She's so proper, and she'd be like, "Oh, okay, here. I'm sorry. I should have." The fact that she's like, "You a hater," she fights you for that bread.
Oh my gosh, I love y'all, fam. We love you. I love all of you. I thank all of you for the time, and we thank you always for the privilege, the honor, and I've had a wonderful time as always.
Me too. Lee has a final question. This may be a silly question, but can the bread be frozen once received to thaw at a later date? Yes.
That's a good question. That's not silly at all. That's a good question.
Yeah, it definitely can. I actually just did this for my kids because I made a ton of bread. Okay, guys, listen to this. We typically cannot eat breads, right? Like we just my whole family cannot. And I've been making our bread, and so it's this thing of if I don't make the bread, we have to go buy it, and it's about the cost of the bread in our Soulwork Synergistic shop. It's about that cost for one loaf at the grocery store. Now, we get this loaf of bread for like 15 bucks. I'm so pissed because it's frozen and I get it home and then I'm going to go make whatever I'm making with the bread and I suddenly see little specks of mold on it. That tells me it wasn't stored properly between that and this. And so now I've wasted 15 bucks.
Oh no.
This bread, put it in the freezer. It's coming straight from me to you. Put it in the freezer. You know that within 24 hours of the bread batter being made, it is
Mhm.
shipping out to you.
Yes.
I will not make the batter until I am ready to ship. And
Hmm.
the only reason it doesn't ship the same day is because I have to let the bread cool completely so that it doesn't cause condensation inside the bag, right? When it ships. So you'll know this is a 24-hour old bread. That's it. Sometimes even less than 24 hours because I'll wait until the evening to make the bread. So that way it cools in the middle of the night, obviously properly stored. And then first thing in the morning, packaged up and shipped out. So it's really only a couple hours old before it ships. But absolutely, you can go ahead and freeze it. I would recommend wrapping it in what do you call it? Saran wrap, nice and tight, and then putting that inside like a freezer bag. I would also recommend if you're getting a whole loaf to cut it up already and make the slices a little bit thicker than what you want and maybe even wrapping each slice so that way when you go to thaw it out you can just get however much you need, but I promise you once you taste the bread that's not even going to get frozen.
Not. It's really not. It's really not. I went somewhere with my sons yesterday, and that apple bread was on my mind. But no. It gets deeper because I don't know if it's like telepathy. I don't know if the apple bread is just that good. It could be a combination of both. But the apple bread was on my mind so much, like, oh boy, when I get back, I'm gonna have some apple bread. Guess who had some apple bread in the car? I go back and I look in the back seat. I'm
Was
like,
it my nephew? Was
Yeah,
it my nephew, my mini me?
yes. Your nephew, your mini me. You know what? That's it, guys, because my energy is probably going to just surge the thing. That's why there's only one left today. Okay? This is the last one left. Munchkin, little alphabet thief. But I understand. I understand. I really and truly do. I guess that's a saving grace, girl. That's a saving grace.
I adore him. I adore him. All I have to say on our behalf, mine and my mini me nephew, can you just be grateful that you have that one that we left?
You know what? You see the way y'all things set up right now? Terrible influence. But you know what? You're right. I do appreciate that. I'm grateful.
Yes, it's progress. That could have been gone, you know?
That's so much
All right.
fun.
This
Thank
was an amazing talk. You guys come and join us. We're going to be heading over in a few minutes to the soulsanctuary.love. If you haven't already signed up, please do. That's where we can chat together like this on video if you want, or you can stay in the comments. And again, if you're in the United States, your recurring contribution is a tax deduction. Keep those receipts, okay? We intentionally structured it that way. It's not a membership, it's a thank you gift that we're giving you the access to. Okay. So we want to make sure that you guys also receive back some of that tax break because, don't get me started on that topic.
you.
Girl. Thank you for coming on with me. And we'll see you guys very soon. Okay.